Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. So, the crux of the Russia collusion hysteria that our entire country, at least half of the country, I mean, all of us lived it, but half of the country seemed to have bought it. The crux of this whole spell that was over our country rests, in my opinion, with one central fact that kind of established the bedrock, and that is that Russia hates America so much that they hacked the DNC server. And it was that hack that gave the basis for all of the claims that came in the future about Russia interfering in our election and how Donald Trump was secretly a Russian agent. It all goes to this central claim that it was Russia that hacked the DNC server and gave the information to WikiLeaks for WikiLeaks to disseminate it. That is how both Republicans and Democrats so easily got on board Russia putting Trump in office, the Robert Mueller investigation, and I'm talking about the likes of John McCain, the late John McCain, and Lady Lindsey Graham, and all of the rest of them, obviously on the left. But what if that's not the case? One of the topics that we are not supposed to discuss is the murder of Seth Rich. The murder of Seth Rich took place 2 weeks before the WikiLeaks decided, with Julian Assange, started disseminating the DNC emails that, put Hillary's dirty laundry out in the open. This is, of course, after a lot of people in the Democrat Party were very upset that Bernie Sanders did not get a fair shake, that the DNC rigged the system for Hillary to Bernie Sanders' disadvantage. People who ask questions immediately in the aftermath and were able to look at this thing and say, hey, there's something going on here. You have the murder of Seth Rich, where I understand they didn't even take his wallet. We're told it was a burglary or a robbery that was gone wrong. And then we get this trove of information. Some people put two and two together and said, hey, maybe Seth Rich had something to do with the WikiLeaks and the DNC emails. And the people that brought that up, I'm thinking specifically of Sean Hannity, actually at one point tried to bring light to that and was told to shut up. Seth Rich's family told everybody to shut up. There were legal threats made, and anybody who was seriously questioning whether Seth Rich's murder was just a robbery gone wrong or was it something worse, was he the actual source of the DNC leak? Because if that were the case, it changes everything. Obviously, it changes the fact that the DNC would then be the most likely people that would want to have Seth Rich murdered. Certainly creates a new motive there that didn't exist before, but we all know it's always been out there. And then again, it totally shatters this entire bogus 1980s fear of Russia that's been resurrected, Red Dawn, Rocky IV, that we've been subjected to, for the last 10 years. Okay. That's what we're going to talk about because there are now new revelations. The FBI is saying, according to one reporter and attorney, a government attorney is now saying the FBI has Seth Rich documents. These are documents that were allegedly found in a burn bag inside the Hoover building. Yes, the same room, the same burn bag where they have found a whole bunch of other stuff that we're told are just nothing but conspiracy theories. We're going to talk about it today on the show. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. Broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas, I am joined in seat number 3 by my good friend Eric Haynes. Eric, how you doing, sir?
Great to be part of the conversation today, Paul.
Absolutely. It's always great to have you. Rob Spencer is delayed unexpectedly today, so he will not be joining us, but we wish him the best, and hopefully we'll see him tomorrow. Before we go any further in today's broadcast, though, I do have a point of personal privilege that I would like to take because I know this audience, specifically this audience that we are blessed to be able to broadcast to every day on LFA TV. But not just the LFA TV audience. I know we're also on cable out of North Central Arkansas, so we want to thank Hometown TV. Those of you watching on the Paul Harrell program YouTube, wherever you're watching, if you're watching over on X American News, we really appreciate everybody out there who's listening to the show. And we hope you would like, share, subscribe, do all the things. But point of personal privilege today, right now, as a matter of fact, my father is scheduled to have back surgery. As a matter of fact, it may have already started, scheduled to take place at 3 o'clock Central today, and I'm going to go be with him after this back surgery happens when I get off air here. So if you could, right now, I would really appreciate it. If it comes to mind, say a quick prayer for my dad, that the doctors would not mess anything up and that he would recover and that he would be strong physically. His back would be better. He would be strong physically and mentally throughout the recovery process. If you could do that for me, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just say a prayer for my dad. Okay, so Seth Rich. Now, this originated because there is an attorney slash independent journalist who goes by the name of Ty Clevenger. And Ty Clevenger has said that an attorney for the government told me that I would soon be getting confirmation that several pages of documents related, let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen so you can see it, that several pages, several hundred pages of documents related to Seth Rich were found in a previously hidden room at FBI headquarters. You may recall that on July 30th, Fox News Digital reported that newly installed FBI Director Katz Patel and his leadership team had located an unmapped / sealed area within the J. Edgar Hoover's building, a SCIF. Last year's Fox report described burn bags that contained thousands of pages of classified files intended for destruction, and those files were linked back to the 2016 Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Now it appears the Seth Rich records were among the files designated for destruction. Mind you, I don't have anything in hand yet. I don't even know whether the FBI will agree to release a single page of what it found. By the way, Congressman Tim Burchett is already demanding that they release all files that they have on the murder of Seth Rich. Nonetheless, any confirmation that the files were in the secret SCIF raises a lot of questions. So the files pertaining to this show you that somebody is trying to hide something within the FBI, within the intelligence oligarchy. All of our suspicions are confirmed. The fact that there are documents in a SCIF, in a secret room, inside the Hoover building, once again means, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I don't even have you up. It's just an empty chair like Clint Eastwood at the RNC. Eric, did you know that?
I just now saw.
My bad. There you are. So this once again confirms that conspiracy theorists were correct, in my opinion. Even though we may not know the extent of exactly what happened with Seth Rich specifically, if they're in a burn bag about to be destroyed along with all that other stuff, then we're right that Seth Rich's murder is not just a botched robbery gone bad where I understand they didn't even take his wallet after killing him. So that's something to think about. He goes on. He doesn't have anything yet. The idea, high-level people do have something to hide. He says, the FBI originally told me in 2017 that it had no records whatsoever about Seth Rich because it was not involved in the investigation of his death. We were told he died in a botched robbery, and only the local police were investigating it. Since that time, the FBI has gradually admitted to possession of several thousand pages of documents about Seth, his work laptop, an image of his personal laptop, and another DVD. Nonetheless, on June 15, 2026, I had to file yet another motion explaining how the FBI is withholding records in violation of court orders. If the FBI is still fighting transparency so hard on other fronts as it is, then why would it acknowledge that records about Seth had been hidden in the SCIF? I don't know. Maybe Joe DiGeneva's grand jury investigation in Miami is putting some heat on players in D.C. I can tell you this much for sure. Nobody on Capitol Hill has been willing to touch this subject with a 10-foot pole. The murder of Seth Rich and the resulting cover-up is as radioactive as any topic I've ever seen. I hope that changes soon, and I'll post updates as soon as I know more. By the way, I'm not suicidal. I'm feeling great. Pretty crazy that that's what we have to do these days, when we're reporting on something. But, that's life. Governments have always murdered people that they don't want to talk. Throughout all human history, right? It's always been the case. So this is, in my opinion, a welcomed development. There's no question about it. Will the FBI actually release the documents? I don't know. I don't know. Will they release them and will they be redacted? I don't know. But we've got to push our advantage as much as we can and put pressure on this. And President Trump himself stands a lot to gain from this because if what I think is true, that Seth Rich was actually murdered because he was the leaker, it changes everything. And if it wasn't Russia that actually hacked the DNC the way they claim, then it undermines all of this stuff. And actually, and I'll say this clearly, it would mean that we owe collectively, maybe not personally, maybe not individually, but we owe collectively the government of Russia a very big apology. Because we've basically been framing a nuclear-powered Russia with things that they are not guilty of. Now, I'm not saying that they don't try to interfere, here or there or whatever. They don't spy on us like we spy on them. Of course, that's the case. But the idea that we're just going to make up something in order to try to fight a proxy war in Syria or a proxy war now in Ukraine to get half the country to believe that, again, Vladimir Putin, is the next Stalin or, again, Rocky, Red Dawn, that whole 1980s Soviet mentality is just ridiculous, and it only serves to foment more war instead of some sort of global peace based on economic self-interest, mutual self-interest, I guess. Just my thoughts on it. But Revolver has an excellent piece on this. Oh, and by the way, can I say this, Eric? And I'll let you talk. Obviously, I'm sorry to go off on this, but the FBI, this is infuriating to me. The FBI is still fighting transparency so hard on other fronts. The FBI has been in violation of court orders. This is infuriating. This is happening now with the Epstein files, according to some reports that we still don't have what the court has fully ordered. And I would be a fan of reform in this area. I don't think it would ever happen. I really don't. I don't think it would ever happen. And even if it did, I don't know if you would have anybody that would ever actually enforce it. But this should be serious. Like, if you don't comply with a court order when it comes to releasing documents that you've been ordered to release to the public, there should be serious jail time involved. And people, well, we don't know who's responsible. Well, then everybody. Like, entire groups of people should just be put into jail for not releasing documents to the public that the court has ordered to be released. It happens over and over again. And these are the same people, by the way, that tell you we have to abide by a Supreme Court decision. We only have to abide by the Supreme Court decision. I mean, it's arguable whether or not the Supreme Court even has the current power constitutionally that we have subscribed to it over these years. When it's a Supreme Court opinion that hurts the people and what the people want and what the people have voted for, we have to abide by it. It's Supreme Court precedent. But when another court tells the government they have to release documents, they can just choose not to obey, and nothing bad ever happens to them for the most part. So why does Trump have to abide by the Supreme Court? As President Jackson said, yeah, I heard the Supreme Court decision. Now let them enforce it. And this is the system that we have, but everybody wants to pretend like there are boundaries that prevent us from giving the people the government they vote for. But it only goes one way. It's not the other way. The government can do whatever it wants, basically. Would you support a law like that, Eric Haynes?
First off,
sorry.
Thank you for deactivating the Klingon cloaking device from Star Trek 3 and making my camera visible. I was
you're welcome.
Obviously cloaked over there in the other chair.
Yeah, you were. That's a good reference, though.
Thanks. This is that rabbit hole stuff for me. I'm just strictly speaking me. This is where you shine in this stuff because you do a great job of pinning things together and connecting dots that, for me, it's not that I mean to throw in the towel and ignore these conspiracies or things that are going on within the deep state of our government, but this is like Mission Impossible the syndicate level type stuff I think that's going on, and I wish I knew the answers, but sadly, Paul, I don't know that we'll ever get answers.
Yeah.
And not just with Tulsi Gabbard gone, but just this is not the way it's set up. It's not set up to be transparent. It's never been transparent. we're looking at JFK files now that are 50 plus years old, 60 plus years old. I don't know. I just don't take a lot of stock or have a lot of faith and trust. I have a lot of faith and trust in a lot of things, but this, figuring out the answers to what happened with Mr. Rich, I don't know that it's going to be one of those things that
I think you're probably right.
I'll ever get answers
I
on.
think you're probably right, and it's unfortunate that that's kind of the system that we operate in. But that spells. I'm just going to go ahead and keep with this. This spells a certain level of doom for the average American, because eventually, if these people get back in power, now that they know that we know and we know that they know, not just about this but about everything, you eventually get to a point where when people stop complying with their nonsense, then they go full mask on. Like, now you figured out that you're a slave.
Yeah. So
now let's actually treat you like a slave, instead of this illusion that you're free and have choice.
Yeah.
This is the problem I think that we face in our lifetime, and it'll be up to it's going to be a big ball of yarn for Gen Alpha to sort out.
Yeah.
If we don't do what needs to be done.
Well,
now.
The difference is here, and I referenced the JFK assassination, and not that questions weren't asked then, but we ask questions in real time based on lack of trust, frustration, and doubt of the truth, and we have information and can connect the dots and can use a lot more evidence and data to connect those dots than they ever could back then. So much of the things that were covered up for so many decades in this country, part of that process and part of their ability for the deep state to do that was that nobody knew the wiser, and nobody could really get into the system and connect dots very well. People could ask questions, but not like we ask questions today. Not like these things lay things out pretty clearly. Like, this is some funny business. This is some dirt. This is some mud. This stinks.
Well, and I can't. I've got to at least go where my mind's thinking, but I'm just going to go there and go back to what we were talking about. But I mean, right now the government is submitting the evidence that they want to use to try to convict Tyler Robinson of Charlie Kirk's murder, and the evidence is being recorded and it's slowly being released online. And it's just fascinating to me to see what's going on right now. There are those that believe that he acted alone, the government's got their guy, and that the evidence being released in court is confirming that they have the right guy. And then there are others who are looking at the exact same stuff being submitted and saying, actually, no, that to me isn't conclusive, and the evidence that they say is incriminating actually it brings up even more questions. To your point, though, about we're now in this world where we can go look at everything, and we are going to look at everything in all of these cases, except for Thomas Crooks, because he was shot and cremated, and we shouldn't talk about that anymore. But to your point, when the information's out there, look, I mean, we're in a day and age where it better be ironclad, or people are going to do their own research, as I say. So.
My cautionary point for myself, for the way I'm raising my kids and the way I think about things, is kind of based on what we've talked about before, about that Sherlock Holmes type theory of evidence to support facts, or facts to support evidence. Of, am I going into this situation and my mind is already made up that it's dirty, that everyone's dirty, that it's all bad? Sean Ryan talks about this a lot of times on his podcast, because, I mean, that guy knows and is really confident that everything is dirty. They're all corrupt. They're all bad.
You're not supposed to listen to him anymore.
Well, I don't care.
Because he had Candace Owens on, so you're not supposed to ever listen to anything he says again. That's what we're told.
I spent an hour and a half today on the road listening to a liberal Jewish podcaster from California. And now a lot of this was sports related, but he had a lot of tie-ins to political things. And I want to get that information, not because I'm going to be an ite of his, but just because I want to know what they really think and how they really process this stuff and the lens through which they see things, because it helps me as a dad and as a conservative to have better conversations with people if I try to see things a little bit better through their lens. And that's what a lot of people fail in, having good, objective, well-rounded, balanced conversations with people that they disagree with, is because they don't take the time and effort to at least see things through their lens. And when you see things through Sean Ryan's lens of a top tier 1 Marine Navy operator in the different theaters that he's been in and everything that he's seen and everybody that he's talked with in his conversations, like I feel like a lot like him, because he just wants to have those big open conversations and get it all out there. And going into these situations of analyzing, like, that can't be right, he couldn't have taken that shot, it had to be somebody up higher, and no, it was this, it was that. If I'm going into that situation and my mind's already made up, then I'm just going to find facts to support or evidence to support what I already think is a fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's
then
the
I'm just
temptation
gonna
in
ask
all of us.
more and more questions, and you get to a point to where then you're like, okay, is this even productive anymore, or is this dragging me down?
Well, and then there's that ditch. So you got the road. That's one side of the ditch, and the other side of the ditch is just quit paying attention, quit trying to find the truth as well. Because if it's all corrupt and they're all corrupt and there's nothing we can do about it, then just enjoy your slavery, brother.
Yeah.
You know,
just don't let the pendulum swing so far that you eventually put your head in the sand and ignore it all.
Yeah,
because then you become worse of the worst. Now you're completely uninformed about anything.
That's right. So
now you don't know how Paul thinks. You don't know how Rob thinks. You don't know how Candace Owens thinks. You don't know how Rachel Maddow thinks or anybody thinks, because you're just like, I've thrown in the towel on everything.
Yeah, I know
Don't
people
do
like
that. That's why I've said so many times that programs like this, channels like this that have long form, open conversation and open dialogue is the future and is the present now for what people actually put their trust in. It's not the 15-second snippets on the mainstream media outlets that are completely canned, that are completely, made up of the same boring old talking points and people talking over each other and yelling and debating, and then, oops, we got to go to an Ozempic commercial and then a Viagra commercial. We'll be right back. It's like, stop.
Oh,
Nobody
man.
wants that crap.
That's great. Yeah, like the Ozempic is the lose weight, and then the Viagra is the feel great.
Sorry, I use those. I just randomly grab
lose weight, feel great.
Two things that I see all the time. It's like
Big Pharma.
Interesting pairing there. One thing gets bigger, the other thing gets smaller. All right, I'm done.
This segment brought to you by Pfizer.
Right.
All right, so Revolver has, I think, a really good write-up about this Seth Rich situation. Secret FBI room and hidden docs in Burnbag could bust open Seth Rich case. Okay, so over at revolver.news, this is, he says this: there aren't many political mysteries from 2016 that still have the power to set the internet on fire like the unsolved murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich. The official theory is that the 27-year-old was shot near his D.C. home during a botched robbery. His family has rejected all claims that he was somehow connected to WikiLeaks or murdered because of his work at the DNC, and they've asked people to not politicize their son's death. By the way, I'll just reiterate, and we're a small show here, and we are growing, and we're happy for it, but if something ever happens to me, and it is clearly suspicious, Eric, please politicize my death. Okay?
Yes,
I'm asking you
sir.
now, politicize it, please.
Deal.
Excuse me.
Or as my kids say, bet.
Bet. All right. So the questions never went away, though, mostly because so many details surrounding the case are sketchy, as we've already highlighted. Seth was killed less than 2 weeks before WikiLeaks began publishing thousands of internal DNC emails that literally rocked the 2016 election, exposed the Dems' bitter and ugly internal battle over Hillary and Bernie. By the way, Seth Rich was a Bernie bro. As a result, a theory emerged that the emails WikiLeaks released hadn't come from Russia, but came from someone inside the DNC. Instantly, Seth's name was tied to that theory. Many believe to this day that he was the insider who leaked the emails after his guy, Bernie, was ousted by Hillary. Now, there's never been public proof of the claim, and some people who knew Seth claim he wasn't some disgruntled Bernie bro. There are people out there that say that. But then Julian Assange entered the chat, and things got a little bit more curious. Assange did something he never does. He spoke out about a source. He publicly denied that the Russian government or another state actor was his source. Then, during a 2016 interview about the dangers faced by WikiLeaks sources, meaning the fact that they're targets if they talk to WikiLeaks, Assange unexpectedly brought up Seth's murder. When the interviewer asked whether Rich had been a source, Assange fell back on WikiLeaks' policy of refusing to identify its sources. WikiLeaks later offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to a conviction in Rich's murder, which only ignited the theories tenfold. So somebody like Assange, now whether you think he's a bad actor or a good actor, I think he's a good actor because he gave me, as a journalist, way more information that I believe is factual and true. If you assume he's a good actor in the good category, if you will, he knew exactly what something like that would do. Basically, wink, wink, nod, tip the hat. Hey, don't let the Seth Rich murder go away.
Forgive my ignorance on the topic, but where is he, by the way?
Julian Assange is... I don't know. We should look it up.
Not in prison, right?
No, he's not in prison.
Okay. Is he in another country?
Didn't he get to New Zealand or Australia or something? And he's free now, right?
I don't know.
I can look it up, but yeah. Okay. So I bet the LFA chat will let you know exactly where he's at. So now, nearly a decade later, a new claim has surfaced. If it's confirmed, the FBI will have some very serious explaining to do. Attorney and former journalist Ty Clevenger has spent much of the past decade fighting the federal government for records related to Seth Rich. I mean, it's been 10 years since his murder. Think about this. Think about how fast that happened. 10 years. So he says, Clevenger, we already read it, that the government's attorney, he said a government attorney told him that several hundred pages connected to Rich might have been discovered inside a hidden room at FBI headquarters. The story is pretty explosive, especially because last year Fox News reported that Kash Patel and his team had located a secret secure room inside the Hoover building. They found computer drives and thousands of pages stored in burn bags, which are used for classified material that's supposed to... Someday I want to know who did this. Because why do you put documents in burn bags and then don't burn them? I mean, I'm assuming they're used to actually burn things, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, am I naive?
It'd have to be a timing thing, right? You're just in a hurry, or
yeah. I mean, or you have
you can get to them and burn them quick if you need to, but you want to have them as blackmail,
or you've got some white knight somewhere who I'm about to sneeze.
Bring it.
Vamp. Can you vamp?
All
right, I'm out of it. Sorry. Or it's some white knight that's like, I'm going to actually save this, and no one knows about it. I don't know. It would be very interesting to figure out. Sorry. I really wish I would have sneezed just then because now I'm in this really weird
when you
limbo.
Have one,
My right eye is now watering.
The sneeze limbo is a bad one.
Anyway, some of the records were reportedly connected to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, and we knew that from Fox. Maybe Seth was part of that mission. Crossfire Hurricane. Maybe Seth would be interesting. Clevenger is honest about what he knows and what he doesn't know. This isn't a done deal by any stretch, but it could be something big. He hasn't received the documents. He doesn't know what they contain, and he doesn't know if the FBI will release any of them. As it stands now, he's just reporting what he says a government attorney told him. However, there's a bigger fight going on about records relating to the Seth Rich case. At first, the FBI told Clevenger that it couldn't find any records related to Rich, but later, court proceedings proved the Bureau had records and assorted material connected to Seth's work laptop, image of his personal laptop, a DVD, and a tape drive. On a DVD. I wonder what could be on a DVD. Could it be a message from Seth? Potentially?
You're speculating.
I'm speculating, but I'm like, well, who carries what does the DVD have? Why would you have a DVD? If it was files, it would be on a hard drive. It'd be on a thumb drive. Why would
favorite movie?
And I guess you could say the same thing would it would a video could just as easily be on any of those thumb drives too. But why a DVD? What is on the DVD? I don't know. That's an odd thing to have.
Tell us, Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible.
By the way, I saw on Amazon Prime right now. I think it's on Prime that you can watch Minority Report. Which is, I think this would be a great time to kind of revisit future crime and AI and everything.
The three whatevers were just so creepy. I just felt so bad for them.
What were they?
Not
clandestines. Cognitive.
The precogs.
Precogs.
Yeah,
precognitions.
They worked as
a team.
Trio.
Yeah,
but there was one that was like the primary.
Think about how messed up that is. Steven Spielberg directed this film. This was a film in a futuristic society, not just where we're comfortable arresting people and putting them in jail for crimes they haven't committed, but we're comfortable with little children being kept as slaves in pools of goo. In order to,
right.
I mean, it's like no wonder society didn't have a trouble like convicting somebody for something they didn't do that they were going to do. They'd already accepted that in order to even have the technology, you have to enslave little girls and shave their heads and keep them hooked up to computers in a pool of goo.
Do you know how old that movie is? It's 25 years old.
Gosh, I wouldn't have thought 25. So
25 years. It was a 2001, 2002 movie release.
Wow.
So here we talk about movies that are ahead of their time. I remember, and this isn't the weird part of that movie, that I remember the precogs because that just was what it was. My craziest memory of that movie as a kid was watching Tom Cruise work the computer screens with that glove. He would.
Yep.
You know how, and I was like, that's the future.
That's the future, yeah.
You know, like you're a little kid watching Back to the Future, and you're like, in 2015, we're going to be flying cars, and Goldie Wilson's going to be the mayor. Yeah, you know?
Goldie Wilson. I like
remember how much the conversion was? $9.99, $9.99, $95.
Inflation got out of control. That's the one thing I'm glad they didn't get right.
So I'm watching Minority Report as a young teenager or whatever, and Tom Cruise is flashing all these things and whipping things off the screen, and it's basically like, you know, our desktop screen, except he's grabbing tabs down and everything. It's just sorry, it's my funny Minority
that's crazy.
Report
You
thing.
kinda
Movies
wonder,
that were ahead of their time, and that was like, are we ever gonna be able to like touch a screen with our hands?
I think
in the air?
I think that's already here. It's just not mass produced. It's
Right.
certainly in there with like heads up displays that where you can see it, nobody else can.
Yeah.
I mean that's coming really quick. It's just probably not economic.
Yeah, well, watching the drone technology from some of the pictures that they've shown before and how they control those, that's pretty high science.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
sorry.
real quick, let's go ahead and just want to continue down this memory lane about Seth Rich real quick before we end this particular part of the show. I know we're 35 after, but Patrick Webb. So Tim Burchett is now calling for the FBI. You know, you got to release.
Do it his voice. You have to.
Got to release those Seth Rich files. You know, everything's just corrupt, and you know all they do is just hide things in burn bags. And you know we found it all, but you know Seth Rich. Everybody knows Seth Rich was murdered because of what he did to Hillary, and this is just corruption of the highest order, and it's just
it wasn't
time.
the aliens that got him; it was the Democrats.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just time. It's just time. This place is just disgusting. So, yeah. Tim Burchett is saying, hey, we got to release all the Seth Rich stuff. But anyway, we've got this post, a few videos of Trump, and this was from who put this out there? MJ Truth put this. Let's listen to Trump. Let's see, when was this? This is the first video I don't know what date this was. But Trump throughout his tenure has talked about where is the server? Where is the DNC server? That's what he talked about with Zelensky on the perfect phone call that got him impeached. excuse me, everybody tried to say, hey, it was because he asked about Joe Biden corruption that he got impeached. I actually think it's because he asked about the CrowdStrike server and blowing up that whole narrative, because Robert Mueller had just basically revealed to the world in an open hearing that he was a geriatric patient, foreshadowing what we saw with Joe Biden, foreshadowing what we're now seeing with Mitch McConnell. And so the Russia collusion hoax was dead, and then they revived it with the Ukraine impeachment. But here's President Trump back in the day. Let me pipe this in here, and we'll take a listen to it.
Many people that was incensed at the corruption that took place during that election. Pure corruption. For instance, I still ask the FBI, where is the server? How come the FBI never got the server from the DNC? Where is the server? I want to see the server. Let's see what's on the server. So the server, they say, is held by a company whose primary ownership individual is from Ukraine. I'd like to see the server. I think it's very important for this country to see the server. Nobody wants to see it. The media never wants to see it, but I'll tell you, Republicans want to see it. So Republicans aren't treated well. And here's the problem. I think we're going to take the House based on what's happening with the impeachment stuff. And the Republicans can do the same thing in reverse if they ever have it. I hope it's going to be a long time, because nobody's done a better job with the economy, with our military. I've rebuilt the military. Our economy is the best it's ever been. We have numbers that just came out where, not including taxes, the median household income for the average American has increased $5,000 in a very short time since I've been president. Nobody's ever heard of numbers like that. So people want to find out, why was it so corrupt during that election? And I want to find out.
Okay, so again, that's President Trump talking about the server, right? A lot of context there. Again, if Seth Rich was actually murdered and you looked at the server and you realized this was not, if you had the server, now I'm not a computer expert, Eric, but if you had the server, theoretically you'd be able to tell if this was hacked remotely or if somebody just walked up to it and put a thumb drive in it. You could tell that, okay? And so that's why the FBI never had access to it. And it's kind of weird also, because you're like, well, the FBI is corrupt as well. It's not like they could have just lied or whatever.
Yeah.
But Trump knows way more than he's leading on there. Like, we know that. He definitely knows what he thinks but can't prove in that instance. What are your thoughts on that?
I wish he knew even more, because he'd unload if he did.
Yeah.
I wish he didn't have to ask questions. I wish he could just get in there and get it figured out. These are people that he appointed.
Wouldn't it be great to just arrest people? How about that? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Hey, tell me the truth, or you're going to jail.
Not only wouldn't it be great, Paul, but wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
If people actually were held accountable, and
imagine that.
If people actually that did wrong actually went out in handcuffs and were taken out of the buildings that they occupy and that they cocoon themselves in and get paid big salaries to be in every day at our expense.
Millions of dollars, Hillary.
So here's another clip of him on Fox News in his first term talking about the server.
Millions of dollars. Hillary Clinton paid for it, and the Democrats. A lot of it had to do, they say, with Ukraine.
But Mr. President,
it's very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the server, right, from the DNC, Democratic National Committee.
Who has the server?
Now, the FBI went in and they told him, "Get out of here. You're not getting. We're not giving it to you." They gave the server to CrowdStrike, or whatever it's called, which is a company owned by a very wealthy Ukrainian. And I still want to see that server. You know, the FBI has never gotten that server. That's a big part of this whole thing. Why did they give it to a Ukrainian company?
Are you sure they did that? Are you sure they gave it to Ukraine?
Well, that's what the word is, and that's what I asked.
I mean, first of all, yeah, Peter, or Steve Doocy.
Poor Doocy.
Yeah, he was like, are you sure?
His question was dumber than kill me.
In my intelligence briefing that I got as a Fox News couch host, they didn't tell me anything about that. Are you sure?
Nothing was whispered into my earpiece sitting here by the Fox and Friends producer on our lovely couch.
Like, what do we tell Ducey?
This
What do we
is
tell
the
Ducey?
stupid stuff.
Somebody's in his ear like, ask him if he's sure. Are you sure they did that? What a joke. I mean, listen, you couldn't trust Fox News back then. Largely, you can't trust Fox News now for this very reason, because anything that goes against these mouthpieces from the different aspects of the intel oligarchy, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to tamp down the narrative. And that was from Trump 1.0, which was a wild card when it came to stuff like that.
Well, you look at Ducey's face right now, and it's like, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
And now back to our sponsors at Ozempic and Pfizer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who
we got to go to a break, folks. We got a hard reset.
And now back to our sponsor, CrowdStrike. Providing you cloud service, providing you VPN service where the government can't see anything that you do.
Voldemort Zelensky will be speaking in our upcoming roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
We'd like more guns from you.
That's actually really good.
We need more missiles.
And that is kind of crazy when you think about it. You bringing up like the modern day. Look where we've been in 10 years. Trump calls Zelensky, has a phone call, gets impeached. Now Zelensky is still sitting high on the hog. He's a dictator. You kind of wonder, like, that's where the uniparty money laundering depot really is Ukraine. And Trump was sniffing around it, and he got impeached for it, and he was asking about this DNC server that's in Ukraine. Why did that happen? Why did the DNC, why are they so cozy with Ukraine? Well, because they're corrupt. The Democrats are corrupt. The uniparty's corrupt.
Let's question the president live on air as if he's potentially spilling lies, but then put the Ukrainian flag on our Facebook profile, and we'll feel better about ourselves.
All right, this clip has...
We need to send more bullets to Putin.
Yeah, really. I mean, you fast forward 4 years from this date, you had everybody on Fox News were putting Ukrainian flags in their bios, and we got to fight Russia. When Ukraine appears to be the bigger enemy here, not that Russia's benign, but you get the point. We're not being told.
They're both bullies just fighting each other.
Exactly.
They're bullies fighting each other.
12 seconds left on this.
Actually, in my phone call, if you know. Right. I mean, I asked it very point blank because we're looking for corruption. There's tremendous corruption. We're looking for, why should we be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to countries when there's this kind of corruption? Millions of dollars. Hillary Clinton.
Little did Donald Trump know. Little did Donald Trump know. Little did Donald Trump know.
Wow.
How much more money we were going to end up giving Ukraine after Joe Biden was appointed president of the United States.
Hundreds of millions? Do you mean billions and billions? Yeah.
Billions and billions. All right, now, here. I want you to hear this. This is the late John McCain. I want you to understand how central the Seth Rich murder is. How I guess what I should say, how central the DNC hack is to the foundations laid in the American psyche about Russia. Okay, listen to this.
We will be working for much tougher sanctions against Russia. They attacked the United States of America. The hacking was an attack, and we should be treated as such. And we think their financial institutions and other aspects of the Russian economy should be addressed. And we will strongly urge our colleagues to enact more meaningful and stronger sanctions against Russia because of their attack on the United States of America.
We're going to go back and tell our colleagues what Russia's up to in the Baltics, what they're doing in the Ukraine. We're going to get briefed about Georgia. We hope to make 2017 a year of offense. We believe that Putin has hacked into our elections in America, that he's trying to undermine democracy all over the world, and it's time for new sanctions to hit him hard as an individual, his energy sector, his banking sector. It is time to push back against Putin, but be a better friend to our allies over here.
Nice hair, Lindsey Graham.
McCain specifically referenced that we were attacked in the hack. He's talking about DNC. Lindsey specifically references they hacked our election.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, President Trump endorsed him in South Carolina. I mean, At some point, you can't care more than President Trump cares when it comes to stuff like this. I just have to reiterate that. Like, still so disappointed that, people like Lindsey Graham find a way to survive and get the endorsements from people that they actually hate and have worked to undermine, and are basically slaves to the intel oligarchy that framed President Trump for treason, has been weaponized against the entire country. Likely, were involved in some way, shape, or form in the assassination attempt at Butler or his golf course or whatever. I mean, it's just kind of sick. But, the internet is forever for a reason. You go back and you look. This was central. And I wanted to do a whole hour on this or a lead topic on this because I want to know who killed Seth Rich, because this is the linchpin. I just want you guys to know. If Seth Rich was actually murdered for hacking the DNC, for giving the information himself, it wouldn't have even been a hack. If he was murdered, if he's the source of WikiLeaks, I guess that's what it is. If Seth Rich is the source of WikiLeaks, it blows up the Russia thing even more, and people have to go to jail for murder, and people have to go to jail for treason. So that's what I'm still hoping for, Eric, even though if I held my breath,
going to say
I would obviously pass away.
You would indeed.
So,
yep.
Yeah. Anyway, let's reset here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to give you, when we come back, we're going to give you an update on Mitch McConnell, the great boomer turtle of the Senate. People are now saying, hey, he may be alive, actually. He may be up and talking. We'll see.
And well.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Alive and well. I'm not buying it. Eric may have a slightly different opinion, but we'll cover the developments on that and much, much more. We also have the CIA is out there now. We've got a new lawsuit claiming that if you worked for the CIA and didn't want to get vaxxed, that the CIA investigated you as a traitor. They investigated you as a spy for a foreign government, according to a lawsuit, if you decided not to get a vaccine. So think about that while we're on break, and we'll tell you all about it when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you, what a concept, now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the Mush Puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
Why is Red Vibe different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vibe devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being with us. Broadcasting live from Arkansas. I just got an update on my dad. At the top of the show, I asked you to give him if he comes to mind, please pray for him. He's having surgery on his back today. Surgery was supposed to start at 3 o'clock about 54 minutes ago. It has still not commenced, so continue to pray. Apparently, they're kind of backed up there at the surgery center. But yeah, just say a prayer for my dad, please, if it comes to mind, that that'll be okay, and that he'll recover well from this back surgery. I'm seeing in here, people are saying that Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife, is a communist spy, is a Chinese Communist Party spy. That's something that I alleged yesterday. That was kind of my opinion. But let's get a little bit of an update, shall we, about Mitch McConnell, the great turtle of the Senate. By the way, Eric had to step out just for a second. He should be back here in just a moment. The great turtle of the Senate, Desiree Townsend. Remember this gem from back on May 13th of 2026? It's starting to make sense now. The bigger question is, who was behind the staffer, Elaine Chao? Trump calls for staffer who corrected Mitch McConnell during Senate hearing to be fired. This is kind of the last time President Trump, I think, has said anything about me.
I'm going to ask Senator Murkowski to wrap up. Thank you all for being here.
Baldwin, Shaheen, and Kennedy. Baldwin, Shaheen, and Kennedy still have questions. Wrap up after.
Hold here. Yeah. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of time for a second round, so we'll get through everybody, and Senator Murkowski, I appreciate your taking over.
So President Trump responded to that, and this was pretty recent. The guy that came up to Mitch McConnell today when McConnell thought the hearing was over and started speaking in his ear for Mitch to belatedly introduce some other people, all Democrats, and by doing so made Mitch look foolish and completely out of it. Should be immediately fired. This was a case where Mitch wasn't confused. He just didn't understand why he was being asked to do something when it was too late and people were wrapping up to leave. They wanted to go home. His name is Robert Karam. He is a never-Trumper and was grandstanding, trying to show how important he was. Karam has tremendous Democrat support. Some people are starting to say, well, is Elaine Chao, is you got to wonder, this guy obviously would be in contact or at least knows who Elaine Chao is. Something to think about. Here's another video from Desiree Townsend showing McConnell's staff giving him directions, this time on the Senate floor.
Hard power.
We're in a quorum call.
I suggest that the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Hard power is the cornerstone of U.S. national security. I've never liked calling too much attention to today's date, February 20th. But I figured my birthday would be as good a day as any to share with our colleagues a decision I made last year. During my time in the Senate, I've only really answered to two constituencies, the Republican Conference and the people of Kentucky. I will not seek this honor an eighth time. My current term in the Senate will be my last.
I mean, that first one is just, I mean, you do feel bad for him. You do feel embarrassed for him on a lot of levels, just from a human standpoint. This guy is so either enslaved to the power or addicted to the power and the clout, as we talked about this yesterday, that he can't see. He can't leave. He can't leave. He can't give it up to the point where he's willing to embarrass himself. And whether you disagree or whether you love him or hate him, like, this man's now, it's in a way poetic. Because, I mean, I think Mitch McConnell has sold out this country on so many different occasions and sold out the people, actual Americans, for the elite class that hates the people it claims to serve. In a way, it's poetic justice that, a guy that used to orate himself into some sort of legacy, some sort of excuses, now orating himself into irrelevancy by just blatant incompetence and having completely lost his faculties, and yet people are allowing him and encouraging him to end his career as a laughingstock.
Hard power.
We're in a quorum call.
I suggest that the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Hard power is the cornerstone of U.S. national security.
You can't even talk, guys. That's how ridiculous this is. Another one from Townsend. As we investigate the possibility that others were running Senator McConnell's office as his health visibly declined, let's not forget this when I recorded this video February of this year, 2026.
For McConnell, can you give us some information on why you blocked the SAVE Act? Or any information on your thoughts on what Rep. Tim Burchett said about staffers running your office? Any comments, sir? For McConnell, can you give us some information on why you blocked the SAVE Act?
I mean, it really is amazing. And again, I'm sorry, I disagree with Mitch on so many levels. And, people would say, well, he didn't get those Supreme Court justices through during Trump's 1.0. Yeah, he did. I mean, you can definitely say, hey, Roe versus Wade would still be the law of the land. In the grand scheme of things, though, there are now more abortions than there were before Roe because of the abortion pill and things like that. So, I mean, anyway, the point, and of course we all saw what Amy Coney Barrett did with the most important decision, maybe of the 21st century, essentially saying, hey, look, the founders put in, or at least the framers of the 14th Amendment put in a suicide pact made the Constitution a suicide pact with the third world, giving birthright citizenship to the whole world, has a birthright. If they can get the circumstances to work out just right, they have a birthright to your birthright, is absolutely insane. But he was a big pusher of Amy Coney Barrett. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, so, we hear these reports yesterday. We did a show on it yesterday that, McConnell is essentially brain dead. He's not coming back. The cover-up was essentially building the idea that, hey, this is a big deal. This is a cover-up. This is what people were starting to formulate, starting to come conclusions. This is a cover-up. What are we going to do? People are starting to go back and listen to John Thune back on June the 16th, right after the cardiac arrest event, where John Thune looks to be obviously lying.
Senator McConnell, we're told, was hospitalized. Have you heard any word on him?
I have. I spoke to him yesterday, and he was in good spirits. I mean, he was paying very dialed in, paying attention to what's going on, and indicated that he would be back soon.
I mean, you look at that and you think, man, I don't know if I believe you.
I have. I spoke to him yesterday, and he was in good spirits. I mean, he was
Don't make eye
paying
contact. Don't
very
make eye
dialed in,
contact.
paying attention to what's going on, and indicated that he would be back soon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe John Thune. That just doesn't seem like a truthful answer. But I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a criminal psychologist. I don't know. But it all changed this afternoon when CNN personality and star Scott Jennings, which, I'm kind of glad I'm doing this segment right now while Eric's out there. Eric had to take a work phone call. I'm kind of glad I'm doing this segment right now with Eric and Rob not here, because I know they really like Scott Jennings. Look, and I like Scott Jennings for for what he is, in terms of, like, he's literally in a lion's den full of woke, libtards, and, it's fun to you can't deny it. Whether it accomplishes anything or not, it certainly is entertaining. You cannot deny that it is news entertainment to watch Scott Jennings spar with the libs. But Scott Jennings comes out from the ropes. He says, I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning. Now, that's an important caveat. So, Scott Jennings used to be paid by Mitch McConnell. Scott Jennings was an advisor to Mitch McConnell. Scott Jennings is basically recounting a conversation he had with his former boss. Just keep that in mind. He comes out and puts an end to the rumors, if you believe Scott Jennings. He says, I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning, the senior senator from Kentucky. He's still recovering in the hospital. Says, we talked for just shy of 20 minutes. And he says, we talked about Iran, we talked about Ukraine, we talked about the unfolding situation in Maine, my visit to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and even a little bit of Senate history. I told him we want to see him back at work as soon as possible. So this is now being used to put a complete, kibosh on the idea that Mitch McConnell is brain dead and not going anywhere. I'm sorry that Mitch McConnell is dead, basically. Like, this is now, Scott Jennings is now saying that's not true. I spoke to him this morning, and I am sorry. And Eric, I know I just reference you. I reference that you're going to disagree with me on this, but I am just telling you right now, I think there's a lot at stake here when it comes to getting a replacement. Somebody, McConnell is successfully holding up. He's one of the senators successfully holding up Trump's agenda. And the idea that you get a special election in there and we get something, maybe we get the SAVE Act. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is about the SAVE Act between now and November. I don't know. Maybe it would be unrealistic. Maybe it would just be, maybe it would be a moot point. Maybe you wouldn't get him in there until the lame duck session after the election. I don't really know exactly, but something smells fishy. Scott Jennings says, though, Mitch McConnell's alive. So
I'll admit my bias here, because this is where my personal appreciation and respect for somebody overshadows what I think is so very obvious, and that there's some big problems with Mitch McConnell's health, taking him out of the mix as far as being any value to the Senate. But I really like Scott Jennings. I've always respected him. I've read his books. I watch him just absolutely destroy Democrats on CNN. His clips are great. He's a great patriot and a good person. So it's hard for me to sit back here in my chair and be like, no, you didn't have that conversation with him. Like, what evidence do I have to say Scott Jennings is a liar right now?
That's true.
Like, I
This
have
is true.
to put my biases in place. Yes, I have a bias because I really like Scott Jennings and I trust him and I believe him. I also have bias in that something fishy is going on, and I think Mitch McConnell is worthless in the Senate. I don't know if he's dead or not. I have no evidence of that. You know,
Yeah, you're
black
exactly
cars, black cars lying in front or sitting on the parking lot in front of a hospital doesn't mean he's dead.
No, it actually
Or not.
means he's alive.
Yeah.
I would say.
I just try to be as objective about
No,
this
no,
as I
and you're good.
possibly
You're
can.
good. I'm the more sensational guy here for sure. This is actually kind of funny. Mitch McConnell showing
Seeing
up
him
to vote
going off
against
the
this-
rope.
the SAVE Act,
Or out of the Undertaker.
Yeah, he's like,
He's the
I
Undertaker.
am here to vote, like a la John McCain. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when John McCain goes in and gives the thumbs down to overturn Obamacare and the slavish individual mandate. But yeah, that's pretty good. Speaking of cars, I think Desiree Townsend did say this. She said this could just be a coincidence, but not long after the announcement that Senate Majority Leader John Thune had spoken with Mitch McConnell, the U.S. Secret Service arrived at GW Hospital. So the Capitol, I think his Capitol security cars have been there, according to Townsend, for a while. Now the Secret Service is allegedly there. That's an interesting take. Here's somebody who doesn't believe Scott Jennings and is willing to tell you about it. I don't know who Kaylee Jane Kremer is, but she says Mitch McConnell is apparently well enough to spend 20 minutes discussing global geopolitics, but somehow not well enough to record a 30-second video reassuring the people of Kentucky and the world that he's okay. Also, his office of roughly 40 staff members still can't provide a meaningful update. Nothing about why Elaine Chao traveled to China to meet with senior CCP officials just 3 days after he was hospitalized, and we're all just supposed to accept this at face value. None of this inspires confidence. If anything, this post raises more questions than it answers. Those aren't terrible points. The one about
I think her point's actually wrong in that first sentence. Well enough to spend 20. I think he could put on a good face enough to have a conversation with Scott Jennings over the phone, but no person in a hospital bed in his condition, in my opinion, because I don't think he looks good. I don't think he is good, and I think his days are numbered. The last thing he wants to do is record a 30-second video of himself, and I see people in hospital beds all day, every day.
Yeah.
They are not at their best. No one wants to do that as a proof of life. And I'm still adding value to the Senate, still working hard here. You know how much crap that guy's probably hooked up to after the way he went down on June 14th. Right. Like, no,
right.
I'm sorry, Miss Kramer, you're wrong.
It would be a disaster vote, but it would also, Lynn, he can't do that because he is in such bad shape.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like to your earlier point. I said for me to believe that this is okay, it's like I want a picture, I want a video, I want him holding a newspaper with the date on it, and I guess I want a notary there as well.
Yeah.
Somebody.
The only reason to do a video like that would be in spite, and it would be an open hospital robe video in which I would turn around and say to all of the people that doubt that I'm alive, here's my rear end right there.
No.
That's the only way I would do a video like that. Otherwise,
you wanted to see me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, here they are.
Now you can't look away. Oh my goodness!
Sorry, I look a little bit like the penguin from behind there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let me get to some of your.
Sorry, Glenn.
Let me get to some of your comments here. Let me see if I can't.
Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
The comments? Oh, really?
Oh, it's great.
Let's see. What do we have here? The staffers will carry on. Glenn Dean in LFA Chat says the staffers will carry on the work that Mitch cannot do. Not to worry. The effery continues.
Yeah.
Try to keep it a family show.
He's
Mom,
right.
What's effery?
I'll say this too. You're spot on in that the staffers and we talked about this yesterday. The older you get, the more staffers and interns you get, and he has got a posse around him all the time now. And the amount of seats that are taken up behind him in these committee meetings over the last few years has grown exponentially.
Also, Glenn Dean is from
They
Kentucky.
are working overtime.
Glenn, our last commenter, says he's from Kentucky and that we don't miss Mitch. So you got Scott Jennings, who is a Kentuckian, former employee of Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Glenn Dean, just an average guy voter here on LFA, saying, like, we do not miss this guy.
Does Scott Jennings really want to destroy his reputation like that if it comes out and Mitch McConnell was dead the whole time and it was just a complete and utter lie? Like, there's no AI voice that could have a 20-minute conversation with him over the phone. And
yeah, that would be his only out. I was duped.
Right.
AI.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying Scott is like...
Oh, Florida Bob says that. Is that where you got it? AI can imitate a voice, Jennings.
Oh, no. I hadn't even seen that.
AI can imitate a voice.
Oh, I do see auto pin Biden and AI Mitch.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
That is funny.
I rolled into a bar. AOC says, "What can I get you?" Do you see it?
No, I didn't.
So that's the joke. Auto pin Biden and AI Mitch are rolled into a bar. AOC says, "What can I get you?"
Hey,
two guys walking into a bar.
By the way, by the way, I think I saw something where Polymarket is now favoring AOC as the nominee. Now that you've got this whole Gavin Newsom FBI investigation going on, so some people on the right, I think, understandably, correctly, are like, "This is great news."
Yeah,
they would love to run against AOC instead of Gavin Newsom, right? I mean, think about that. Think about the prospects of
the Democratic Socialists and Communists. Their days are numbered. They've been able to infiltrate through some different modes, but I mean, the civil war that's going on in the Democratic Party right now and everything that else, it's not going to last. I don't have any faith in that.
All right, random chat here. I don't even know. I'm getting on this conversation way late here. But Calpurnia61 says bounce. I'm assuming when you say bounce, you're talking about the dryer sheets. Bounce, right? Isn't that those are the dryer sheets to make your clothes not staticky? You said bounce is made from rendered animal fat. Couldn't figure out why I had grease stains on clean clothes. It was the bounce. Haven't had that problem since I stopped using it. I did not know that. Rendered animal fat? Really? I had no idea. Anyway, random fact of the day from the LFA chat. I like that. That's a good piece of information. All right, let's get to the CIA and this new lawsuit that is now floating out there. We teased this before the break, that the CIA investigated officers for espionage because they didn't take the clot shot. The CIA has investigated thousands of personnel and contractors for not receiving a COVID-19 vaccine, according to a new lawsuit. In 2021, then-President Joe Biden imposed COVID-19 vaccine mandates for federal employees and contractors. Shortly after that, the CIA's chief operating officer directed the CIA's counter-espionage department to investigate all unvaccinated contractors and workers within the agency. According to the lawsuit, it was filed on the 30th of June in Virginia. Quote, any employee or contractor who refused the vaccine was treated by the agency as a threat to the United States government in order to be investigated as the same. Now, that if you're investigating them for espionage, that's what the title suggests. Espionage. That's treason, right? I mean, if you're convicted of espionage for another country, so they thought it was and you know what? You know, the left loves to accuse us, I'm sure, of throwing around treason and this charge far too liberally. Of course, we're not. Our country's full of people who are actual traitors. It's just funny that refusing to take the vaccine, a vaccine that Kamala Harris on the debate stage said she would never take Trump's vaccine. You remember that? Do you remember that? That's pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And now all of a sudden, the CIA then says if you don't take it, you could be a spy. That's crazy. So a cross-agency group established by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, learned in 2025 from a whistleblower of the order And then they asked for confirmation from the CIA. The CIA responded by confirming the investigation of thousands of employees and contractors, according to the legal complaint. James Erdman III, one of the unvaccinated employees, this is the same James Erdman who testified in Rand Paul's committee about the Diggs Group and the CIA basically trying to sabotage Tulsi Gabbard's investigations. He formally asked the CIA to remove all material from the investigations and information in employee files that stemmed from the probes. Lawyers representing unvaccinated CIA employees said the agency never responded, leading to the lawsuit. Erdman, who worked with Gabbard's group, recently testified. The suit seeks certification of a class of employees who did not take a vaccine and were investigated. Plaintiffs also want the court to declare the order from the chief operating officer illegal and force the CIA to remove any information yielded from the investigation from employee and contractor files. The CIA did not respond to requests for comment. They never do. None of the workers affected by the investigations have been fired. The fact, quote, this is from the suit, the fact that the investigation occurred in the first instance and the fact that there has been no assurances that anything stemming from that investigation has been essentially wiped clean, it does unfortunately set precedent for where if there is any reason or need to investigate any of these individuals at the future, this could be used as a basis to do so. So now they've basically got they save all this stuff in files. Like it's just so sick, man. These people are so evil.
It sounds like something idiotic you'd first hear from Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon or something like that, and then now here we are looking at these things, and it's 2026.
Man,
crazy.
Not taking the shot got you investigated by the CIA if you worked for them or took money from them.
Crazy.
I mean, it's just literally something right out of Europe. I'd say communist Russia, but like now you can just say, man, that's something right out of Europe. Because Europe are now the communists. Europe are the ones that police your free speech and want to be able to control everything you do. Sick, twisted stuff, folks. Unbelievable. Hey, in other news, we've got Donald Trump traveling overseas. I believe it's the first time he was on the newly revamped Air Force One. Have you seen the new Air Force One, Eric?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah. I actually like the color scheme, too. It just kind of seems
Wasn't the one that was replaced, wasn't that pre-Reagan?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it was like Reagan era was the last time a new Air Force One.
Yeah, I mean the color scheme I really like. It seems like it's somehow old school and new. It seems like it's new and also classic at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I like it. Anyway, he's going to be
proper vintage. You could use.
Trump says that they are lifting the sanctions against Turkey. Listen to this. All right, hang on. I know why I have this forwarded. So this lady goes on in Turkish for a long time, and Trump has a translator whispering, to him what this reporter is saying, and this is we'll pick it up here. There's Erdogan.
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent, and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay? We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. There's plenty of people we can sanction, and we are sanctioned. We don't want to sanction friends. And because of the president, we have a very good relationship with the new leader of Syria, and he's done an amazing job. In a year and a half, he's pulled the whole country together. And I have a very great relationship with him. And somebody said, well, he's pretty rough to put him there. I approved him along with the president. We were the two that really wanted him, and he's done a great job. He's done a great job. He's pulled it together. Not an easy job.
You were right about the new Air Force One, because I remembered back to where they did a press conference and he was going to let the press corps take a tour. Remember that? But did they fly it this past weekend over Mount Rushmore when he did the fly? Was that Did they do anything like that then?
I don't know. I don't know. Exactly.
I'm trying to remember the images of it going. That was such a cool video, by the way. You know, it's like one of those things where, again, you have Thunderstruck intro playing while it's going over Mount Rushmore, and then the fireworks start and all that stuff. I can't remember if that was a new Air Force One flight or not.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. But.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah, I love that. Marco Rubio, he's a very famous man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All his little add-ins are just so unscripted and
man.
funny. It's like, okay.
So we also have this clip. Trump goes off on NATO, and in the context of the war in Iran. Let's see if I can.
And troop drawdowns in Europe likely. And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, "No, we'll help after the war is over." I said, "I don't need that kind of help." We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
One of the geniuses of Trump, our president, is that he tests people. He tests their loyalty. He tests their decision-making. And he tests their ability to partner. And I'm glad he does that. The former administration had nor the gumption nor the brains and smarts to do stuff like that, and he does. And it's good, because then when they fail and when they're disloyal and when they make poor decisions, he calls it out. And the whole world takes notice. And they listen. Yeah. And then they're over there in Europe realizing that they just got called out on something that they never would have gotten called out for before.
Yeah.
And that they've been able to just let roost for decades under previous administrations and other presidents that didn't have the balls to say, you guys weren't there for us when we asked. And I'm here to tell you that I didn't even need your help. I just wanted to see how loyal you were and how close of a partner and ally you were to us, and you weren't there for us.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll do it on our own.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting development, and we've talked about it on the show before, and that's basically like, I'm not a supporter of what we've done in Iran. I think it's a giant distraction, and I think it's a quagmire. And even today, we have more signs that a peace agreement is a long way off, because Iran, according to reports, attacked some more ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, according to the report I saw before we came on the air, the president has said we are rescinding their license to sell oil on the open market. So now things seem to be crumbling once again. It's a disaster, in my opinion. It really keeps us from being able to focus on the domestic issues, and it makes the midterms difficult, I think, in the long run, which means President Trump could be impeached, and it also means Democrats can continue targeting people that don't take the vaccine, and it's terrible in a lot of ways. However, there's a lot of people who agree, who have my take that, hey, think the Iran war was a big mistake, but also don't like NATO and think that we don't need to be involved in NATO. So it's kind of a strange, a potential list of strange bedfellows where this conflict that a lot of anti-war people like myself, or anti the foreign policy of my whole life like myself, upset with that. But you could end up getting out of that something positive, which would be we end this whole NATO charade, because what was originally meant to protect Christian Europe from communist Russia, Soviet Russia, Europe has now become communist, and they look more like the Soviets that they originally wanted to defend against. So why should we even be there at that point?
Yeah.
And so the idea of abandoning Europe, and I'm totally comfortable with that phrase, may actually happen now because President Trump is slighted, for them not being all in and supporting him in the Iran-Israel conflict. So,
yeah, it feels like a very old, outdated post-Cold War era alignment of countries that never really did anything. They just, there were a lot of peacekeeping type things that they were involved in, but there just never was any meat to anything. And Trump called this out and was like, and by the way, we're the only country that's putting millions and millions of dollars of investment and dollars into this thing too. We're done. Like, we're tired of it. We're tired of throwing good money at bad when all you care about is oil and yourselves.
Yeah,
you don't care about all of us in the collective, and you don't care about helping us when we ask for partnership and an alignment of action. No.
Yeah.
You won't even let us use your base. You won't even let us pop in to your bases and refuel and re-up or whatever. You won't even let us do that because you don't want to look bad yourselves. Fine.
There's that there's that aspect of it, the monetary aspect of it, and then there's the fact that they're imprisoning people. I mean, they're more anti-free speech than Russia currently is.
Oh yeah,
according to some
too.
reports. I mean, if you look at the UK and all this other stuff, they're literally not the West. They are becoming de-Westernized countries. Not to mention their immigration stance and everything else. Their leaders
they're
are
in big trouble.
So
and they know it.
Yeah, they know it 100%. So I don't know. That may be the silver lining out of the Iran conflict.
I mean, you got videos showing, like you were showing yesterday, of some guy getting absolutely assaulted and about to be totally destroyed by a gang, and the cops come in to try to break things up, and they just let them all
Yep.
Good grief.
You're exactly right. Real quick, Eric, I'm going to reset here, go to break real quick, and we're going to be back here in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about The Odyssey, this new film by Christopher Nolan, and it's being ratioed because not only did they race swap and they put a bunch of non-Greeks in a Greek epic, you also now have people speaking out against Homer, the author of The Odyssey, saying, he should have wrote more parts in there for strong female characters. That's pretty incredible, but par for the course. Don't go anywhere. Back here in just a moment.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or red Vive works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. So, I don't know how many of you out there are film buffs or whatever. I mean, we can all say that most of the films, the zenith, I believe personally, as somebody who, I like movies. I grew up with movies. I know Eric, as a Gen Xer, you grew up with movies. You love
Huge
movies.
movie buff.
Huge movie. Like, we love them. I would say the zenith of filmmaking was, in a modern context, the zenith of filmmaking was Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I think it's an arguable point. It's arguably, I would say that everything's kind of gone downhill since then. I mean, there have been some high points since then, but not I just think, obviously just look at them trying to stick to the source material today. They can't help but put their politics in it. It's just impossible. One of those high points would have been Christopher Nolan, though. I think generally as a director, directing really interesting movies back 20 years ago, movies like The Prestige that, dealt with like Nikolai Tesla and The Magician, and what was that? That was a Christian Bale movie, as well as
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, that was really good. So there was stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, listen to this, guys. So Interstellar, which was incredible. Oppenheimer.
That's a recent one.
The Dunkirk. I mean, Dunkirk was the Batman.
Yeah, I was about to say The Dark Knight is arguably the best superhero movie that's ever been made.
Yeah, I mean his resume is just loaded with hits.
Right.
Man of Steel, he's all over the place as a director and writer of some of the biggest movies of the last 15, 20 years.
I do have to. People are going to crucify us if this is wrong. He directed Superman, Man of Steel.
He was a writer.
A writer. Okay.
I think I put everybody like in his resume. Like, there's a lot of these guys that are directors, producers, writers.
Yeah.
Some they're multiples in different movies. Sometimes they have parts in others. Other times it's just like it's all them.
Okay. So anyway, when you find out that Christopher Nolan is directing The Odyssey, okay, you start thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be good. And I haven't seen the movie, and it's never a good sign, though, when your trailer starts to get ratioed. It's never a good sign when you only allow certain critics, industry-approved critics, corporate critics, to view the film. That kind of tips your hand to let people know that you think that people aren't going to like this. It could still be a commercial success globally, because I'm sure it is a very epic movie, very expensive movie. Go ahead.
Well, just based on the top cast alone, you've got Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal. I mean, it's a really, really solid cast. Until
they decide to cast Achilles, or they.
So,
right, I mean, they.
So
Elliot,
he's not listed as that yet.
Okay, but I think
technically in the in everything in the pre-lead up, Elliot or Ellen Page is listed as sign-on.
Okay.
Not Achilles.
Okay. Well, anyway,
so let's push that one over.
So we don't know. We don't know for sure then, based on what you're saying.
Helen of Troy,
is
not Lupita.
Yeah. So Lupita, that's how you say her name?
Yeah.
So Lupita, this African lady, right?
Which she was awesome in Black Panther and Wakanda.
Right.
Like she's super cool.
They've cast her as Helen of Troy, which, is supposed to be the face that created a war. I mean, that's the whole goal, right? The face of the face that sailed 1,000 ships, or whatever the phrase is.
The affair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's not a Greek face, okay? Like, her face, she's a black woman. Her face is not. So they've decided to race swap Helen of Troy, somebody who's supposed to be so beautiful that, the goddess Aphrodite is jealous and moves against her. I mean, this is in the story. This is what the story's about. And so people have been like, hey, this is just, we're sick of this. We're sick of this trash, this garbage that you're putting in front of us and asking us to consume. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Supergirl was such a huge flop, and because not necessarily because, I mean, she wasn't race swapped, but she's certainly not the type of person I would look to think about when I think of Supergirl. But then again, she went and ran her woke mouth like Rachel Zegler did, Snow Brown did, when she was playing Snow White. And what, you like that? Snow Brown, and nobody wanted to go.
Snow White was definitely brown.
Yeah, nobody wanted to see the movie.
It was crap
at that point. So, this is so Nerdrotic.
Snow White won an award for worst CGI, like the dwarves. In that won like some flop award. It was like a Dundie award or something like that, like one of those. Spoof awards. Like,
yeah,
we're not going to give you the best trophy. We're going to give you the worst.
Yeah, yeah. So the Odyssey trailer ratio gets worse. It's over 500,000 now. So you just look at this now. A normal person can't see this because you have to put in a plugin or an extension on your browser in order to see YouTube dislikes now. You can still see the likes, but if you click the dislike button, it doesn't keep a running tally anymore.
Really?
Yes, they've done this now. And I know this because somebody responded, because I asked Nerdrotic in this thread, I said, hey, I don't doubt your photo, but when I go to YouTube, I can't see the dislike number. Well, if you put a plug in, you can see it.
No
They've shielded it because there are
way.
so many corporate movies now, Hollywood movies, that are getting ratioed. And this is, I mean, look at Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power on Amazon. It gets ratioed. So right now, as of July 6th, 537 dislikes on the latest trailer for the Odyssey, 64,000 likes. So the people are done. Hollywood knows this. It really kind of comes back to like USAID. You look at the rap songs. I covered this on Friday. You realize that for the first time since 1990, last year in October, there's no rap songs on the top 40.
Yeah.
And people are saying, is that because USAID money was cut? They cut USAID, and this would not be the first time that this happened. We now know that the CIA backed Jackson Pollock paintings to try to combat the Soviets. It's not the first time that the government money goes to prop up art and industry as a form of propaganda.
We went through that whole musical evolution growing up as kids, where the different genres, it was like musical chairs.
Rock and roll went away in the 90s.
Yeah. It was like there was a complete onslaught of negative press and energy towards one genre or another, and then another would rise up. They'd make a lot of money, and then it would just be squashed.
NSYNC, the boy bands,
yeah,
98
the boy
Degrees,
band era, yeah.
Backstreet Boys.
So much now to where we're watching documentaries about it
Yeah.
that are being produced now, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a big ruse.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're 100% right.
Yeah.
So the Odyssey, it's getting ratioed, and it's just the latest example. And, you do have to imagine they've been working on this movie for years at this point, you would think, right? It's a pretty big epic. And so when they started making the Odyssey, it's safe to say that they thought transing kids and woke LGBTQ, RSTLNE, would you like to buy Val, sex, religion, was going to just continue and be promoted, and yet the people have rejected it, and they are rejecting it. It just kind of goes to show you, though, that the propaganda is not done. They're going to, and even if they're making movies that are not that now, it's going to be a few years before you even see them. So it's to be expected that in the next, I would even say 5, maybe even 10 years, the movies you're going to see roll out are still going to be super progressive. It just depends on how much money they want to lose. But so this is the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan decides to make a movie, one of the most popular pieces of literature ever written, and he wants to put non-Greeks in a Greek epic. This is, how do you say her name again? Lupita. Lupita. All right, so this is Lupita. She gets asked a question in an interview. Again, this is the publicity that's being done by the studio. They want to get their movie out. They want people to go see it. Homer, the ancient Greek, is the writer of the Odyssey. If you could ask him one question, Lupita, what would you ask?
I'd be like, so Homer, how do you feel about the screen time given to these women, considering how little you spent with them? Okay.
And then do you lean forward and look at him like that?
Yes, like, remember us? I'd be like, so Homer, how do you feel about the screen time given to these women?
Look, she's a feminist. This is what feminists are going to say.
Yeah, I know. It's just really...
and it's popular. She's going to get a lot of, yeah, good one on there. But,
I know.
I'm trying not to say too much.
Yeah.
Because people know. Like, the jig is up.
Yeah.
Like, the wokeness, it's not just like you go woke, you go broke. It's all of it. It's all of this nonsense. Nobody takes any of these people seriously anymore. We don't care. We laugh at them. We feel bad for them. We have pity on them. They don't care about our pity, but I feel sorry for most of these Hollywood elites and Hollywood idiots that think that this type of progressive language and conversation is somehow witty and funny. It's not. It's just dumb. They're just showing their lack of intelligence in situations like that, and they're following this stereotypical script. In this case, a feminist one. Supergirl did the same thing. Now, Supergirl doesn't have a boyfriend in your upcoming movie. Does that tell you something about this movie? Does that tell us, the audience, about... Well, I mean, and her answers were just so dumb that they like let her right into that.
Yeah, and it is also
entitlement. They just fall right in line, like, because they think, oh, this will look good on Variety magazine when it comes out.
It's also entitlement too. I mean, she gets cast as Helen of Troy,
which I don't.
She's like, I also have a problem with Homer because he should have written me more lines. So
I don't care so much about the skin color thing. I really don't.
I absolutely do.
I mean, Jim Caviezel probably wasn't dark enough to be Jesus, but he was Jesus. So we can go down that road.
We could
for decades of Hollywood films depicting
what are they going to cast?
Ethnicity.
Are they going to cast? Are they going to cast a white girl as Aunt Jemima?
Yeah.
No, they would never do that.
Now, once they start going down the road like we thought they were going to go down with Ellen Page being Achilles, and then you have to follow this woke trans lane of the Hollywood craziness, like that's when a lot of people will really, really start to raise their hands and be like, okay, dark skin, whatever. I don't care about that so much if the actor or actress is great. But no, you don't need to have women playing men's roles to check a box.
Well, I would say it's a slippery slope. I'd say, if you're going to have one of it, you're going to have all of it. I mean, what does it even matter anymore if you're not going to have standards? I mean, a few years ago, they were going to cast Idris Elba, great actor. They were going to cast him as James Bond. Now, I mean, yeah, I know there are plenty of people of African descent that are, that are British, but you and I both know that, a British person, generally speaking, is a white person. And James Bond is a white man. He's not a black man. He's a white man. Helen of Troy is a Greek, is not an African.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed.
Yeah, I mean,
as it was just pointed out.
It's just insane. It's insane, and it's all done to promote a message, and this multiculturalism nonsense. And honestly, as somebody who was trained as an actor, by the way, the whole thing is offensive to me. From an art form, this is ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. It's like the classic looks matter in this industry. Like, that's the whole point, right? And you also have source material, and you also have a job to do. Mm-hmm. And your job as an actor is to try to get the audience to suspend their disbelief. That's the best way to get a message across, is you're actually trying to get somebody to, there's something called aesthetic distance, and you're trying to get the audience to kind of forget about the outside world, to actually go down this path and be entertained in an all-encompassing environment. This is actually the goal of entertainment. And yes, it makes a perfect platform for any kind of propaganda, good or bad. Okay, like, so the whole movement is kind of set up that way. They don't care about the art anymore, though, because you and I both know that this takes people out of the movie. Okay, this literally defeats the very purpose of their industry. And by the way, it's pretty ironic considering that theater was allegedly created from Western contents in Greece, and so this is just so offensive on so many levels. To
I'm going to borrow something from the chat here. Like, can you imagine if you did a Harriet Tubman movie?
Yes.
And this was good.
I have a Harriet.
Can you imagine Tobey Maguire as Harriet Tubman or anybody? Yeah. Like, that's the thing. It's like, can you imagine the outcry of Hollywood if you reverse the script and put a white guy in a historical?
Interestingly enough, I have a Harriet Tubman graphic novel.
Brad Pitt is Malcolm X.
I have I have the basis of a Harriet Tubman graphic novel that yours truly has actually worked on. Believe it or not. Now you say, Paul, that is the strangest piece of information that you've probably heard. You probably didn't expect that, but it is actually a satirical piece, and it is designed to be. I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place. Like, I can keep going with my Harriet Tubman graphic novel, and publish it as myself, and people on the right will get a big kick out of it because it's done through a vein of how Hollywood would write a Harriet Tubman epic novel. And to say I take historical license.
Oh yeah, I
you remember this?
I remember
this. To say I take historical license is
that.
absolutely an understatement with this.
I
Or
do remember that.
I could probably publish it under a pseudonym, and it is so good, in my opinion, and ridiculous. Think like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, that a woke Hollywood studio would pick it up and make it. I really truly believe that it could happen, especially if I tone a few things down that are just like way over the top. Maybe someday I'll actually get it done, and we'll see what I do with it.
And Ben Affleck as Mike Tyson. Like, we can go down this road. We can go down this rabbit hole a lot.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a little.
It's like, can you imagine though?
Yeah,
Jeez.
Samuel L. Jackson in my in my version. You ready to free them slaves?
Sorry, I'm doing the Dave Chappelle version.
Yeah. Haven't you seen my movies? All right. What else do we have here on deck? All right, so, yeah, this is interesting. I'm just going to throw this up there for you guys just so you guys know what's going on. Somebody on X called Bull Theory says the most dangerous market in the world right now is Japan. A lot of people in the crypto world and some of these other worlds that are kind of adjacent to the cryptocurrency, they are warning that there's some very big moves happening in Japan and that it could essentially be a disaster for Western governments. I don't know the validity, but I've seen it everywhere. Could just be what my algorithm is feeding me. I don't know, but I'm putting it out there because I'm a firm believer that any economic collapse that takes place will be intentional to harm the American people, also to preserve those who are in power who have gotten us into this mess. A crisis will enable many of them to keep their power and usher in a new system that could be a central bank digital currency that would more easily enslave us. That's just boilerplate idea. Anyway, Japan's 10-year and 20-year bond yields just hit 30-year highs. Both moved to their highest levels in 3 decades. The 10-year yield is up 137 basis points over the past 12 months and up another 9.1 basis points in just the last 4 weeks. The move is accelerating, not slowing down. You see that there, 2 things are happening on the supply and demand side at the same time. On supply, Tokyo just announced a plan to mobilize over 370 trillion, is it yen? In public and private investment through fiscal 2040. That means more bond issuance ahead. On demand, the Bank of Japan is the buyer stepping back. The Bank of Japan is tapering its JGB holdings, targeting a reduction of about 480 trillion by March 2027, roughly 17% below its June 2024 level. That's the largest buyer of Japanese debt, pulling back exactly when new issuance is rising. Private banks can't fully absorb that gap, is what's being said. Then we have Tim Pool even taking notice of this account called Yuto, which normally posts in Japanese, saying the measure being prepared by the Bank of Japan will affect the lives of billions of people. To the people of Western countries, I offer my deepest apologies. This is not a personal matter. May God's blessings be upon you. Now, I've looked into this account. It is a very, very much a kind of a crypto pumper type account in a lot of ways, or speculating about what the price of crypto may or may not be in the future. But it was interesting to me that somebody even like Tim Pool took note. Maybe they follow each other. I don't really know. Also, another crypto account, Crypto Tice, says Japan will dump foreign bonds today. I don't know if this is true, but this is just a report. Bank of Japan selling foreign bonds again. Most of them are U.S. Treasuries. The yen still breaking against the dollar despite record interventions. Bank of Japan rate hike expected in July with 97% probability. When Japan sells, yields rise. When yields rise, everything reprices. Then you have China is at an 18-year low in Treasury holdings. Turkey dumped 89% in a single month. Maybe that's why sanctions are being lifted against Turkey. Donald Trump just announced that today. Now Japan stepping up the pace, the largest foreign holders of U.S. debt all heading for the same exit. The Fed absorbs what they sell, though, and they do that with printing more money. The system is shifting, and the bond market is where it shows first. Just something to think about as we're all worried about affordability. Everybody's worried about the midterms, and affordability still being an issue. It could get a lot worse. And by the way, if it does, my prediction is, it's a planned financial collapse on the basis that $12 trillion in debt in 2009 versus $40 trillion in debt in 2026. That is both of those are gargantuan sums, and it's so giant that it only matters at this point when somebody decides it matters. Is my opinion. What are your thoughts, Eric? You got anything?
No, I think they're looking at this pretty closely, and I think Donald Trump and Scott Bessent and others are trying to prop up our economy as best they possibly can. Not prop up, but prop up the integrity and the health of our economy as best they can. And they see good things ahead. So, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But I want to say this last thing about Hollywood. Everything changed, in my opinion, 5 or 6 years ago when Ricky Gervais got up on the Golden Globes and told every single one of those Hollywood elites in that room that they were nothing but worthless pedos and that nobody cared about their dadgum opinion. That was a tipping. We talk about tipping points all the time. That was a tipping point in our culture where someone finally got up and said, "Get up here, accept your award, go sit down, and shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares." And it was just so great. And from then on, it's just been like all these things that come up, people just blow it off, and the ratings suck, and the films bomb. And if they want to keep blowing money on that stuff, fine. Good movies like Top Gun Maverick and others like it will become the blockbusters.
Yeah, that's true.
And that will be the thing. The people set the market, and there's not enough libtards that are interested in woke Hollywood idiocy to support and financially prop up this machine of whatever wokeness infects. And there will be more and more Ricky Gervais moments, if not by him, than others. So they'll just stand up and say, "We don't care.
Yeah.
Sit down and shut up."
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I remember that moment too. And Gervais is also
a game changer.
An atheist who
consider that source.
I hate that he denies God, but he's also willing to at least see plainly how wicked and corrupt and evil a lot of these people are. And like I said, he called them all pedophiles and all friends with Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, for that matter.
Absolutely, he did.
That was a big moment where he spoke truth to power for sure.
100%.
Eric Haynes, thank you so much for being with us.
Great conversation today, Paul.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you, brother.
Folks, I appreciate it. We'll be back here tomorrow. I want to give a shout-out to Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, and Sherrod Chiropractic. We will see you tomorrow. God bless.